Next guest is going to be Geoff Notkin, whose last name probably, like all the other last names, I've been gradually mispronouncing throughout the entire hangout.
So I've just messaged him to send him along from the green room. Really excited to meet one of the Meteorite Men.
We're over $15,000.
Oh my God!
We have surpassed the Feed a Joe level.
Woo!
So thank you so much. We're at $15,264. Thank you to all of you who have donated thus far. You're giving. Thank you.
You're making these awesome projects happen, and then you can help us do the science, and then we can share all the results with you, and it'll be fun. Oh, I haven't gone slightly loopy. The other Ryan console sent us more cards. I'm going to forward along to you.
I'm Apollo, and I approve this science.
Oh my God! You came in at just the right time.
Did I hear science ladies laughing, so I must be in the right place.
Yes, that would be us.
Welcome, Geoff. I know that you have a busy schedule,
ladies.
and you just came to us directly from being on Astronomy FM. And I hear that you have some interesting things that you bring us, as well as your content and your meteorites.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so. I hope they're interesting. They're interesting to me. So let me first say that what you are doing is a great thing, and I'm honored to be a small part of it. And while I was doing Under British Skies on Astronomy FM, I was explaining to some of our listeners in Europe the problems that we've had with the sequester here, and that some people might say they're a bit fed up with Congress. I'm just saying some people might. But instead of complaining about it, you are doing something positive, and that is wonderful, because it's very easy to sit at home and complain, and it's hard to do something positive. So I thank you on behalf of all the viewers and listeners for making such a Herculean effort to do what you believe in. It's admirable and it's noble. So here's the deal. I intend to raise $1,000 during this 45-minute segment.
Ooh.
And to do that, I'm going to give away gifts to people who pledge $100 or more. And the first thing you get is my newest book, which is my autobiography. It's called Rockstar Adventures of a Meteorite Man. Took me 14 years to write this, and oh, I should have made a note of it. I got a wonderful review from Astronomy Magazine from Dave Eicher. He said something like, this book is a must-have for anyone interested in astronomy, meteorites, rock and roll, and everything else that's fun in life. So thank you for that, Dave Eicher. He's a wonderful guy. So I will send you a copy of this book, signed and personalized, to you or a person of your choice. But that's not all. These are stone meteorites. It's called Yelland Dry Lake Bed. And we found these on camera while filming Meteorite Men. Season 1, Episode 7. You cannot buy these anywhere. They've never been offered for sale. The only way you can get one is if it's a gift from me. And it comes with an ID card. It's all very fancy. And I got these signed photos signed by Steve and me. So anyone who donates $100 or more during this 45-minute segment will get all of the aforementioned goodies.
Wow.
And we will be able to tell who you are based on the timestamp of the PayPal donation. We're going to get all that information from my university next week, so we will know next week. I apologize that we don't know right now, but I don't have the login for my university's PayPal. I just get to see the output.
Oh, no, that's completely fine. That'll be post Hangoutathon work. But I'd like to say, anyone who does make this one of these donations, if you want a book personalized or a photo personalized or any special requests, just put that in the message with PayPal, because we're super appreciative of the support, and if you want a special message or some special thing, we'd love to do it. And there's more. Our friends at Astronomy FM have very generously agreed to match the first $500.
Wow.
So that means if 10 of you listening somewhere are willing to pony up $100 each in exchange for these gifts, but mostly for supporting this important project, not only will you get these goodies sent to you, but the Friends of Astronomy FM are going to kick in an extra $500. And, you know, I was originally thinking that we'd only do this for US viewers because it now costs $25 to send a book overseas.
Yeah.
And I love the US Postal Service. They can do no wrong in my eyes. We ship thousands of packages a year, but it does hurt a bit that the international rates have gotten so high. So if you're overseas and you want to do this, I better see more than $100 because I'm going to be paying $25 for each book that I'm mailing to you. So that's my pitch. How did I do?
That's amazing.
We're completely bowled over, and Nicole's sitting here madly
tweeting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pause and retweet what she just did.
We want to make sure that people know that this is going on right now. So tweet and retweet if you're watching this.
and this
yeah,
is
especially
this is a great way to bring in more audience to this thing. So if you've already given and you want this as a gift, this is where you find your SO who doesn't love astronomy and say, hey, you want to do this thing for me.
Yeah, that's super. And all our space tweet friends, you're fanatics with Twitter. Well, no, that's the wrong word. You're highly skilled Twitter experts, and we love you. So get the word out. Really, I've very rarely made an offer like this because these meteorites are very precious to me that were found on the show, and I've never sold one of them, and I never will. So the only way that you can get one is by winning one in a contest or a donation or doing something positive like supporting CosmoQuest. So that's my little way of saying thank you to people who are tuning in to listen and for your support. And hey, if you can't do the $100, do $10, do $50, do whatever you can. It's the price of a nice dinner out with your significant other. Skip dinner this month and send in something that will help guarantee the future of science education in our country.
Awesome.
So that's the end of my speech, although I may make the speech again later. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hey, didn't I make a promise yesterday when we were tweeting about what I was going to do, what I was going to bring for my segment? Okay.
Yes.
So for viewers who don't know this, I freely admit to being a huge science fiction nerd. I've loved science fiction my whole life, and those of you who know me as the host of Meteorite Man or as a science writer may not know one of my great passions in life is collecting science fiction props. So what do you think these are? From a movie, science fiction movie. I'll give you a clue.
Let's see.
Oh God, I'm feeling so depressed. Any clues? Any takers?
Go. You know you want to say it.
You're Marvin.
Yeah, correct film. But these are not Marvin's. They're from someone else in the film.
But that's the line.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
well, they're Vogons. They're Vogon gloves from the
yes.
Guides of the Galaxy.
Please don't tell us poetry.
Oh, fretful grunt bugling, thy micturations are to me. I could do the whole thing, but I don't want to bore your listeners. All right, so that was one. Here's a small one, but I love this. This is one of the command walkie-talkies from Stargate Universe, one of my favorite shows of all time. I absolutely love Stargate Universe. Such a great show.
That's fantastic.
Alas, it was sent the way of Firefly and so many other good shows before it had its run.
We at least got 2 seasons out of that one.
I know. Yeah, but
no closure.
No closure. And I really think that was one of the great shows. One of my favorites. Yeah. Do you want more? Do you want to see more?
Yes, please. Hang on, I'm also trying to invite Michael in as well. So all the links open. But go ahead.
This is really one of my favorites.
That looks Klingon.
Very close.
No, that's from Stargate. That's from Stargate.
No, it's from Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah, it's from Deep Space Nine. Yeah, not Klingon, but close. Who else do we like apart from the Klingons who causes a lot of trouble?
Or Romulan.
Better dressed Romulans. Thank you. Better dressed than the Ferengi. Yeah, it's a Romulan phase rifle.
They haggle.
No, they started out as fierce and then everyone laughed at them.
They don't shoot because there is no profit in it. All right, I got one more. This is, as we say en français, la pièce de la résistance. This is really big, actually.
That's huge.
This is one of my favorite science fiction films. It's comedy. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver. Any takers?
Spaceballs. No, wait. The one where they're like kidnapped from the con and they have to go, and the guy's in costume, and I can't remember.
Sam Rockwell's in it.
Oh, I can't remember the title. There's the guy who's in costume who's not
Alan
really an
Rickman.
alien, and
Alan Rickman has the forehead, and yeah, my brain is also dead.
Yeah.
my brain thinks both that and Spaceballs are called Spaceballs.
I know that you said it. My brain's stuck on Spaceballs.
By Grabthar's hammer, I shall avenge thee. It's Galaxy Quest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh man,
gosh.
and we're CosmoQuest. We. Damn it. Fail.
Yeah, you're almost like cousins in science fiction and wonderful stuff. So that's one of Saris's Warrior's pod rifles, as seen in the film. So there you have it. I've now admitted to the entire world that I'm a complete science fiction nut, and when I'm not searching the surface of our... Oh, thank you, you sweet thing. So when I'm not searching the surface of our planet looking for meteorites, I'm on the walkie-talkie.
You don't use the
Sorry,
stones?
universe walkie-talkie.
You don't use
I don't
the
have
stones?
one of the stones. I'd love one of those. I did see one for sale. It was very expensive.
So for those who didn't catch that, that was a Stargate Universe reference.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a small part of my prop collection. And we, well, got some meteorites as well. Well, I already showed you these ones I'm giving away. Hey, have we got any donations yet?
Sorry, I was captivated by your props.
Oh!
We got at least 200 right away.
Excellent!
So
well,
you
thank
guys
you very
are
much, viewers.
So
There's the first 200. That's being matched by Friends of Astronomy FM. So we're well on the way. I don't want to just badger you to give money all the time. So if you give money quickly at the beginning, then I won't have to mention it again, and we can just do fun stuff.
we can just continue to be silly.
So we've had almost 300 in, and that almost 300 means that a bunch of you have given less than $100 because you care more than because you want the rocks. And in a small way, that means a whole lot more to me. But I want to see more rocks, and I'm someone who normally hates rocks, but rocks from space are kind of awesome.
Okay, well, I have one of my favorites here to show you.
Okay.
Oh, this one weighs a ton. You think those movie props are heavy?
Dang.
So this is an iron meteorite. It's called Campo del Cielo, and it fell in Argentina about 5,600 years ago, and it's one of the oldest known meteorites that we have on Earth. Are you getting video?
How do they figure that out?
Yeah, we're getting video okay.
Excellent question. Now, there are two ways that we can determine the terrestrial age of meteorites, as we say. So there's their actual age. How old are they? Many of them billions of years old, formed at the beginning of our solar system. And then there's the terrestrial age, and that is how long have they been on our planet. So this meteorite, Campo del Cielo, was first discovered by the Spanish in 1576 when they were taking over South America. And you can imagine them in their armor with their splendid helmets that look a bit like the helmets from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, actually.
It's true.
That's
something I can now never unsee.
Donkey bottom back airs. So they're the Spanish, very splendid, and they're hiking across Argentina, which wasn't Argentina then, but is now, and they see these masses of iron lying around, and they must have wondered what their origin was. I doubt they speculated they'd fallen from the sky, but there is evidence that they melted some of the metal down and made swords, plows, blades, tools out of them. So one of the oldest known meteorites on Earth. They're quite deeply buried for the most part, and when meteorites are found with a metal detector and excavated, it is possible to calculate their terrestrial age by looking at the stratum, the soil stratum in which they are lying. And I should point out, actually, that it's now illegal to export meteorites from Argentina, so I'm not encouraging anyone to go down and do that. And
why Argentina? Sorry, new question. Finish this one first.
Okay. So certain countries have placed exportation restrictions on meteorites because they understandably regard them as cultural property. So if you want to take meteorites out of Argentina or Canada or Australia or several other countries, you have to approach the government and ask for permission. So I'm just saying, don't go down to Argentina and start digging without getting a permit first, because you could get in trouble. So there's that. There's the stratum. Okay, we've dug down this meteorite 6 feet underground. We look at the levels, the layers rather. We discover it's been on Earth about 5,600 years. Another method is to examine the decay of radioactive isotopes in the meteorite. So when meteorites land on Earth, their internal clock kind of gets reset, to put it simply. And we have worked with the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada, where they have a fantastic device made out of lead bricks that is used to measure the terrestrial age of meteorites. And they measure these very faint radioactive signatures that are within the meteorites. And, funny joke, story, anecdote, whenever I'm traveling with meteorites on the plane and I go through security, they always pull them out and go, "What is this?" And I go, "Oh, they're meteorites." They always ask, "Are they radioactive?" First question out of security experts, are they radioactive? No, they're not. Don't worry about it. You can handle meteorites all day. In fact, I do. And look, I still seem relatively normal, so there's probably no damage that can be done.
You can't fly like Superman either, though.
Wait a minute, I saw your hands a minute ago.
Oh, that was...
those other hands, yes.
Yeah, that's my other skin.
Yes,
that's,
you should show that.
Only partially caused by radiation.
I should have asked this before you came on, so I'm going to spring this at you. Do you have one of the meteorites that's from the asteroid Vesta?
I do. I have several, actually. And I should mention that the best example that we have is currently on display in the Challenger Space Center, Arizona. And I'm sure you are very familiar with the excellent work that the Challenger Centers do across the states.
Yeah.
Partly commemorating and respecting our astronauts who gave their lives in the search of knowledge and in search of knowledge and adventure, and partly as an outreach project for young kids who are smart and who care about science and perhaps aren't getting enough science education at school, or want more, or want to experience the thrill of a simulated moon landing. And I am a great supporter of the Challenger Centers, and particularly Challenger Arizona in Peoria, where I have a meteorite exhibit on display at present called They Came from Outer Space. And it's been running for a little over 6 months, and it'll run for another 1.5 years. And there are over 100 meteorites on display, and wardrobe and metal detectors and props and all kinds of gear that we used while we were making Meteorite Man, the television series. So any viewers in and around Phoenix, or anyone who's traveling to Phoenix, and if you're interested in this field, I highly recommend it. And you can learn more at theycamefromouterspace.com. So I would show you that if I could, but unfortunately it's on display in the museum.
You're loaning it out
Sorry about that.
to the world, and that we
you're
understand.
doing the right thing. We have images from Dawn. We've seen the big ones, but the little ones, those are the ones you're allowed to take apart under microscopes. So that's kind of even more cool. So do you have any of the little ones?
I'm
sure that I could find one. If you don't mind me hopping up for a couple of minutes. Are we having anyone else in on this segment?
We have Michael.
We have Michael, and we'll give an update on the donations while you're searching around. We are up to 15,924, and we're seeing donations from the way the numbers are incrementing of $10, $15, $20, as well as a few $100 donations in there. So we have no clue how many $100 donations we've gotten so far, but we've gotten a lot of donations, and we're in awe of everyone's generosity. Thank you so much. We're going to sort out who's donated $100 by looking at the timestamp.
I think it's the first 10. The first 10 who donate $100 during this segment are going to get the book and the meteorite that you can't get anywhere else.
Well, one of those would be the friend of Astronomy.fm who's staying anonymous, who has put up the $500 of matching seed money that he will give to CosmoQuest if we can come up with another $500 this hour. I'm sorry,
So if we can come up with another $500, there's going to be matching from the Friends of Astronomy FM. You guys, I think both of us are more awake because of you've just instilled us with this vibrancy. We've been giving and giving and giving for the past too many hours.
30? No, 29 and change.
and we've laughed. We've cried while laughing. We've despaired over climate change. Well, she slept. That was me. And now we get to play with rocks, and everyone is giving. And thank you.
Yay! I wanna paraphrase something that our excellent friend Phil Plait said yesterday. And I know he's a friend of all of ours, and I consider him to be one of the more brilliant and engaging people on the planet, and I feel lucky to call him a friend. He pointed out yesterday during his segment, well, he said a lot of great things. I love his, what is the right word? He has a slightly confrontational attitude sometimes, slightly disenchanted with the way he's been treated sometimes and the way things have gone wrong, and I really respect that. But
no, that's funny. Said, that's not the word I was thinking of, but this works.
What's the word you're thinking of?
I'm not sure I want to say it.
Okay. Well, he speaks his mind, and I respect that. And he said, without science education, we don't have any of this. We don't have smartphones. We don't have Google Hangouts, space program, telescopes, meteorite recovery. These things that we care about, that we use on a day-to-day basis, are so obviously the product of people who had a good science education in the previous generation. So if we don't get our kids focused, excited, interested, and educated now, we're going to be toast in the next generation.
Yeah.
We're no longer the leader that we used to be in science and education. And I don't need to tell you this, ladies, because you see this every day. But if you care, speak with a few dollars. We need to raise another $500 to match this extremely generous donation from Friends of Astronomy.
And we understand not everyone can give $100. And Richard Drum found 3 small chips. He didn't go out and find. He obtained via legal means 3 small chips from the Chelyabinsk sort of impact over Russia that occurred last February, and we will randomly select 3 donations that are not already getting something from Geoff. So no matter what size your donation is, we'll use a random number generator for donations that aren't already getting something this hour, and send those people just a little gem jar with a chip from the sky that created a whole big bang in dash cams all over that region of Russia.
That is fantastic. Good for you. Yeah. We're so simpatico because when I jumped up to get this piece of Vesta, which I'll show you in a minute, I also picked up this piece of Chelyabinsk that was found by a colleague of mine right after the fall. And on Friday, this is going to the Challenger Space Center, Arizona, and it's being added to the They Came from Outer Space meteorite exhibit. And if anyone is in Phoenix this weekend and would like to join me for a special behind-the-scenes tour of They Came from Outer Space, we will be doing that on Friday evening. And it's an invite-only thing, but I know people at the center, and you know they're my meteorites. So send me a message via Twitter. I'm Geoff Notkin, GeoffFNotkin, or visit me at aerolite.org, and I'll see if I can get you on the VIP list for a behind-the-scenes tour.
Excellent.
How about that? Especially if you make a donation.
I think your husband just donated, Pamela.
my husband did.
I don't know if he qualifies.
So here's the really funny thing. My husband and I, part of what makes our relationship work is we have completely different passions. Our house is littered with guitars. I'm not sure how else to put it, because he collects them and refurbishes them and then sells them and gets new ones to collect and refurbish. It's this constant recycling center for guitars.
I like him already.
Yeah, and I love listening to the music he plays, although I have to admit, when he took over an entire dormer of the attic for the guitars that he was working on, wow. But then I took over the other dormer for the studio, and normally he just sort of abandons me when I do astronomy stuff. That's the perfect time for him to turn the amps up all the way, and to see him out on our feed donating to get a space rock, that's kind of
That's
awesome.
Fantastic. Well, you know, then what's your husband's name? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Kyle Kavion.
Kyle. I assume you're watching. Kyle, you're gonna dig this book because in addition to being a Meteorite Man and a science nut, I'm a rock and roller, and I was part of the original punk movement in London, and I've played professionally for most of my life, and my house is also littered with guitars. And the first part of the book, to say again, I'm giving away signed copies of this for donations, is about my life during the rock years. And I met the Sex Pistols and the Clash, and I had many adventures which are probably not best discussed on the air.
You're now my husband's hero.
So what you're saying, Geoff, is that you're a rock star's rock star.
Exactly, and see, that's why I didn't feel so bad about naming the book Rockstar, which some people might think, well, that's a bit pretentious, isn't it? But I started as a rock and roller, and I enjoyed critical success, and I had marvelous adventures as a rock and roller, but I never became a rock and roll star per se. I played in some successful bands, and we toured, and we were on the radio and television and put out numerous albums, but I felt that we never fully made it. And then through this weird twist of fate, I spent more time with my other passion, which is meteorites, and then accidentally became the host of a multi-million-dollar award-winning television show that's broadcast all over the world and has been seen by literally millions of people. Sorry?
How many Emmys? I mean, if we're going to go ahead and...
no Emmys yet, but we have won
two
2 Telly
crime,
Awards.
Sir. That is a crime.
2 Telly Awards for Meteorite Men, we're very proud of. And my first book, Meteorite Hunting, How to Find Treasure from Space, won an IPPY Award last year for one of the best independently published science books of the year, which absolutely made my year. I was thrilled by that. And so when you work hard and you follow your heart and you engage your passions in what you believe in, and you're recognized by peers in your field, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel that you're doing something right. And I know that many of the people involved with this fantastic event have themselves won awards, and I think it's lovely that our community sticks together like that and honors our peers for their contributions to try and make this world a better place. And again, you're not talking about it, you're doing it, and I salute you for that.
Thank you. And what I'm loving about the groups of people that we've managed to bring together this weekend, from folks at the Planetary Society who, like us, have a Parsec Award in podcasting, to folks like you who are in mainstream television, to everything in between, we're people who are using our skills, not necessarily ones that we got trained for in university, but ones that we found that we have naturally, to spread this thing that we love. And along the way, each of us find neat ways to geek. And you have a chunk of Vesta you haven't showed us yet, mister.
I do. Sorry. I don't mean to be dragging this out. I know this was something that you're really interested in. So here it is. This is a meteorite that fell in Australia in the 1980s. And it is called Milbilili. And Australian meteorites have the best names: Milbilili, Mundrabilla, Cameldonga, Billy Goat Donga. Every Australian meteorite has a great name. Love Australia.
Like all of Australia.
So, this is, I'm sorry?
Kind of like all the places in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, and you probably know that meteorites are named after the nearest place.
Yeah.
Or I should say, when a new meteorite's found, it's named after the nearest town, typically, to where it fell.
Which in Australia is often a cattle station.
Yeah, it could get, there's no town for 500 miles, mate. We're going to have to name it after this dry wash. And that's happened in the States a lot, too. There's a wonderful meteorite called Starvation Flat.
Oh, my gosh.
Because there was no town where it was found. So this meteorite, it's one of the HED groups, and we're virtually certain that it comes from the asteroid Vesta. Why? It's different from other meteorites. Here's a kind of fairly conventional iron meteorite that's been cut and etched to show its interior. And if you've watched Meteorite Man, or if you've read my books, or if you've heard me talk, you'll hear me say over and over again, meteorites are rich in iron. If you think you found a meteorite, test it with a magnet because it will stick. But this one doesn't. Mm-hmm. This is the one in a million. This is volcanic rock from the surface of an asteroid that was either fired into space by a gigantic volcanic eruption, or it was blasted off the surface when Vesta was hit by another meteorite.
And Vesta has had the spin wonked out of it.
The snot.
I was wondering what word you were going to use there. that was very diplomatic. See, we do run a PG-rated show here. I just want parents to know.
Unless Sarah might lose it, but we're working on it. Yeah, and so our CosmoQuest users have been looking at asteroid mappers, and they've been marking all those bizarrely shaped craters on Vesta. And so now you can connect those pictures, those high-resolution pictures of Vesta you've been working on, with this rock he's physically holding in his hands. That is a piece.
Isn't that amazing? And this is why the study of meteorites is so important. We can't, as people, get ourselves physically onto the surface of Vesta yet. We will, and I hope it's in our lifetimes. But at present, the best way to study the makeup of our neighbors in the solar system is to find meteorites and examine them. And it's a small science, and it's a growing science, and we're learning new things all the time by studying. And people have asked me about the television show. How's Meteorite Men affected this? It's affected it in a gigantic way. We have so many new meteorites that have come to light as a result of the show because people have watched it and said, hey, didn't Paul find a strange rock back in the 40s on the farm? And it's maybe been sitting on a mantelpiece or propping a door open. So people have contacted us and said, hey, I think we've got one of those. And some of them have been very significant finds.
Wow.
So we have more meteorites being found today than at any time in history. And every meteorite and every examination helps paint in a little teeny piece of that jigsaw puzzle. What is the history of the solar system? Where did we come from? How did we get here? So it's exciting and a little bit humbling to be part of it. Nice one.
And I approve this science.
Fantastic.
So we puppet bombed you because we've so far in this segment brought in roughly $2,000.
Fantastic.
You totally just doubled your goal.
Thank you. Yes. My heartfelt thanks to everyone. I hope you enjoy my work. I hope you feel that Meteorite Men and the rest of my work contributes something positive to science and education. And you are acting by doing. You're contributing something important, and you make sure you donors make sure you include your mailing address and details along with your PayPal donations. Any special instructions for signed books or other things.
And if you don't have special instructions, I'll be emailing all of you. You'll get an email directly from me saying, "Look, you were in this time block. What information do you have?" And I'll be relaying that directly to Geoff.
Fantastic. And we will get these gifts out to you as promptly as we can. I hope you enjoy them. And I know we're pretty much at the end of our segment.
Oh, we have 10 more minutes. You can keep talking rocks.
Yeah.
We
fantastic.
Hear more rocks.
Oh, okay. Well, do we have any meteorite related questions that have come in on the chat room or through Twitter?
Although I do need to add that my significant other, though he does not have $100 to donate, wishes he does because he had a fabulous time talking with you in the green room. So thanks again for Tim for monitoring the green room for us.
Yes.
So you've got a new fan in my boyfriend.
He's a wonderful gentleman, and I said to him, I sympathize with you because you've been sitting here now for almost 30 hours making small talk with all the guests on the show. You're probably bored to tears. And he said, no, I've been talking to the most interesting people. It's been great. So I want to actually show you a little something here because people ask me about meteorite hunting and what's the reality of it. And I'm just going to try the custom overlay here and see how that works. Are we seeing that image? Okay, so that's a photograph that was taken here in the Aerolite Meteorites studio by Suzanne Morrison, who's my brilliant photographer. And that shows the trash that I found on a recent 2-day expedition in New Mexico. Now, we typically don't just randomly go out and start looking because meteorites are rare and they decay comparatively quickly in our moist and humid atmosphere. So I went to a known site where many meteorites have been found over the past 130 years or so. And I have a very sophisticated metal detector. And when it goes over a piece of metal, it gives me a number. And each type of metal has a different code number. So I can usually differentiate, say, a can from a bolt. And the meteorites that I was looking for at this particular location read 43 on the detector. Yeah. So I'm out there in the woods and I get a signal pretty quick and it's a 43 and I'm psyched and I go, oh, okay, brilliant, here we go, our first catch of the day, as we like to say, quoting Empire Strikes Back. Unfortunately, at this particular site, there are a lot of rusty old staples in the ground from old ranches, and guess what? The staple also reads 43. So I pictured there in that photo are bits of Civil War stuff, horse tack, bit of an old horseshoe, all kinds of crazy stuff. So those are the meteorites. Those are the meteorons, I beg your pardon, that I found during a 2-day hunt. Meteorons. I know, it's awful, isn't it? And so during the same period of time, that number of meteorons produced this number of meteorites.
Wow.
And that's a good site. That's where we expect to find something.
Well, so what amazes me is how small some of the things you guys find are. When I was at the Lunar and Planetary Sciences Conference in March, there was a guy who showed meteorites next to rabbit pellets as a comparative, and the rabbit pellets were bigger than the meteorites.
Oh, yeah. And there's a great story about this. Here in Arizona, in 1912, there was an enormous meteorite fall, July of 1912, just outside the small railroad town of Holbrook. And you can still find meteorites there to this day. And in fact, we filmed an episode of Meteorite Man there. And this fall was quite unusual because it was a daytime fall, first of all. It was witnessed. Many people saw it. And there's a great story about a kid who's outside playing, and he hears the sonic booms, and the fireball breaks up over his head. And then all these rocks start falling out of the sky all around him. And he runs into his parents' house, and he goes, Mommy, Mommy, the rocks are falling out of the sky. And, of course, she thinks the kid's just misbehaving and probably spanks him. And then they go out, and the surface is just littered with these stones. And most of them are about the size of a pea. And I've been there many times, and it's sort of a rite of passage for meteorite hunters to go to Holbrook. It's just one of the things that you do, and everyone wants to find one Holbrook. The trouble is the stones, they're round and they're black, and they are almost exactly the same size and color as rabbit pellets. So when I take people out to the site, I give them a stick with a magnet on the end, because, as we know, meteorites stick to magnets, but not this one from Vesta. It's going to cause me trouble later. It's going to cause me trouble later because people are going to now email me and they go, Geoff, I've got one of those really rare meteorites that doesn't stick to a magnet. Doubtful. Anyway, more on that later.
And what I love is the person with the rabbit pellets in his poster at LPSC, and I've just popped my mic many times. It was the Holbrook meteor fall that he was talking about, and he was looking at
fantastic.
How meteorites that have been collected and stored in various ways over the different years have different decay rates of different minerals within them. So there's really neat science that can be done by studying how the meteorites decay while they're sitting on the surface, or erode, or weather. Definitely. I'm not sure what the right word is.
Yeah, and we've done some of that work in Meteorite Men. In fact, we filmed an episode in West Texas where a meteorite called Ash Creek fell in 2009. And we went immediately after the fall, and we recovered over 100 pieces. And then we went back 7 months later, and we found some more pieces, and we then took them to UCLA, where we worked with Dr. Alan Rubin, who is a brilliant meteorite scientist, and we studied the decay rates. And it's amazing how much a meteorite will decay in a 7-month period. This shows why there is an urgency to recover them shortly after they've fallen.
What's happening is it's just chemical reactions between water, chemicals in the soil, pH of the soil, all of these things cause chemical reactions to transpire. This is why copper pipes turn green. This is why brass turns funky colors. All of this is oxidation. It's why Mars is red. And when the meteorites fall out of the sky, they start chemically reacting with our atmosphere, well, as soon as they hit our atmosphere. So
most definitely. And that's why these Chelyabinsk meteorites, this is, for those who may have just tuned in, this is a piece from the gigantic fireball that was witnessed over Russia February 15th of this year, the largest meteorite event on Earth since 1947. And it was picked up right after the fall, so it hasn't oxidized. It's got this beautiful black fusion crust because it burned in the atmosphere. It's toast. This got heated to several thousand degrees Fahrenheit. This one, the Milba lily from Vesta, was lying out in the desert for at least 20 or 30 years before it was picked up. If you were to break this open, it's completely white on the inside. It looks very similar to pumice because it is volcanic rock from a large asteroid. So we're really looking at the makeup, at the mechanics of other bodies in the solar system. And for those of us who love astronomy and the space program and geology and planetary sciences, what's better than that? This is bits of other worlds that we get to look at.
So I'm going to ask you to, well, everyone out there, donate. Keep the science coming. Keep the excitement coming. And I have someone I can ask questions of, and it's awesome. I don't get to do this very often.
We have a question from Geoff Forrest, who's asking, hey, Geoff. Oh, that was the question?
No. I was going to ask a question, but go ahead.
Okay.
No, go. The audience matters more than I do. I can ask him later.
We can share.
What's the most interesting and or valuable meteor rung?
Oh, that's a super question. The most interesting or valuable meteor rung that we found. We found some really wacky stuff. Actually, those of you who will be receiving a copy of Rockstar, my new book, that's how the book begins. There's a very short chapter called Exciting Life of a Meteorite Hunter. And it starts with the Monty Python's joke, of course, because I grew up in the UK and I love Python. But I list all the weird stuff that we found. And I mean, horseshoes, nuts and bolts, bits of old guns, a frontier-era revolver. I once found a clip of live 9mm ammo, just the ammo, no gun, coyote traps, uncovered wells, an iron, a frontier-era iron that you used to have to put in the fire to warm it up, loads of forged tools, old plow blades, wonderful historic artifacts. But one of my favorites, perhaps my absolute favorite, is a gigantic chain. It looks like it used to hold down the Queen Mary. And we found it in a field in Kansas when we were filming the pilot episode of Meteorite Man. And we were in a strewn field. A strewn field is a zone where numerous meteorites fell at the same time. We knew meteorites had been found in this area before, and we had the giant metal detector, which we were dragging behind our trucks. And we'd only been hunting about half an hour, and we got this huge, huge loud signal, a slamming signal, as my friends George and Tim from the Diggers TV show on Nat Geo would say, a slamming target. They're great guys, and that's a really entertaining show if you haven't seen it, Diggers. So we got a slamming target. We're very excited. We go, oh, wow, super. We've only been out for half an hour and we've already found the big one. So we get out of the truck and we start digging, and I hit something hard and I go, oh, this is it. And I reach down and there's a link of a chain. One link, it's about this big. And I start pulling it up and it goes choo, 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 all the way down. It was maybe, I don't know, 40 feet long, 50 feet long. It was massive. So I was a bit disappointed, but I go, well, it's a nice chain anyway. So
nice chain,
I kept it. Space. Yeah, no, it's not a space chain. So I keep this stuff, and my co-host Steve thinks that I'm odd. And he goes, why do you want to keep all that junk? And I go, A, we're cleaning up the environment, taking away man-made junk out of these fields. B, I worked hard to dig it up, and I feel bad just trashing it. And C, they look really good in my rock garden. So I drive home from Kansas after we finish the shoot, and I unload my meteor rungs, and most of them go in the rock garden. And the big chain I put out in the front yard under a tree, and I just kind of wound it up into a weird shape. And a couple of years later, a guy comes to visit. He's a TV professional, and he's a fan of the show. So he came over to my house, and we're walking down the path, and he stops, and he looks at the chain. And I go, what is it? And he goes, is that the chain that you found on the pilot episode in Kansas? And I said, yes, you're right, and you win a prize. And also, you're spending way too much time watching my show if you can recognize a chain that we found in a field in Kansas. So that remains a favorite.
Nice.
People do pay attention sometimes.
I want to know,
that's a super question.
Why did that giant 40-foot chain exist in a field in Kansas? Was it holding down a house from a tornado trying to take the house to Oz?
Well, this is the question, and we have asked ourselves this question many times. For example, we were digging in Kansas, a different site in Kansas, and the deepest target ever recovered by the Meteorite Man team was 10 feet underground. Now, you can't get to those kind of depths with a conventional detector. This is using the giant detector that was built specially for us by Polestar in Germany, the coil, and then Steve, my co-host, designed the rig that carried it, and then we dragged it around behind our truck and ATVs and so forth. So the bigger the coil, the deeper the signal goes. And we have recovered numerous targets between 5 and 10 feet deep. Excuse me. The record holder, I can't possibly explain this to you, is the engine block from a Ford truck that was buried near Brenham, Kansas, in a field at a depth of 10 feet. Now, if you really hated your car that much, wouldn't you just set it alight with a flamethrower or ask Top Gear if they wanted to test it for you? One of my favorite shows.
I'm going to suggest something that's kind of gross, but so the City Museum here in St. Louis has this amazing display of archaeological things that have been found in the sites of old latrines. So there are actually archaeologists who dig down the filled-in sites of former latrines. And I'm wondering if someone tossed a Ford engine down a latrine and you guys inadvertently cleaned it up, having gotten it out of we're not going to go there.
That opens up a whole new idea. Now, what if it was some kind of insurance dodge? I mean, what if one of these guys go, hey, you know, the motor on this truck's not working. We need to claim a new one. We got to get rid of the old one, and they go and dump it in the latrine. Well, fortunately, that hole was excavated by a backhoe. We didn't do that by hand.
That's good.
Considering the implications that she just brought up.
I want to go wash my hands now anyway again, just in case.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show. We have gone. I had failed to reload.
$17,809 in total. So how much is that?
That's roughly $2,500. And there's going to be Michael. Has the $500 match from friends already been added into that?
I don't know.
So there may or may not be another $500 coming in. We're not sure.
Actually, I'm sorry. I think it has been added into that.
Okay,
I think
that's fine.
They are fast. Get the button.
And we're good with that. So you guys donated $2,000, and we had another $500 in matching from Friends of Astronomy FM. You guys are awesome.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much.
It really means a lot to me that you would support this important work, viewers and donors. And when I went to sleep last night, I was really excited about doing the show today, and I said, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to get this $1,000. We're going to get $1,000 tomorrow, and it's become $2,500. So that made my day, and it's all thanks to Nicole and Pamela, our wonderful hosts, and Tim and all their support team, all the people that you don't see behind the scenes that have helped to put this together. I salute you all.
Thank you so much.
So much. This was so fantastic.
This has been really great.
It was genuinely my pleasure. So keep up the good work, and I'll be looking forward to getting a list of recipients' names from you.
Yeah. So the poor woman whose job that was on vacation Thursday, Friday. She's going to hit her inbox on Monday. She's been warned this was going to happen.
Thanks.
Yes.
And what's her name?
Patricia Misnard.
Patricia, I thank you in advance for that. It reminds me of when we were filming the show and we used to say things on the camera. We'd apologize to the guys in the edit bay and go, sorry about the scene that's coming up.
We do that to Preston all the time in Astronomy Cast. It's so funny.
because we record to a live audience, and then Preston does our editing, so everyone gets to listen to us apologizing to Preston all the time.
See, this is why we get on so well. We're obviously all of the same mind between that and the Shelley Bin stuff and the rest of it. Well, look, I don't want to take up any more time because I know you've got another guest coming on. But thank you sincerely for allowing me to be part of this. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to next time.
And may our paths cross in the future because I have questions to ask.
I'm sure they will, and I'll be looking forward to that. Come out to see us in Tucson for the Astronomy Expo. We're doing it again in November. It's going to be great.
Awesome. Would love to.
Yeah.
Super. And it's nice and mild here in Tucson in November. Good time to visit. Not like now.
Excellent.
All right, ladies. Thanks again.
Thank you, Geoff.
Live long and prosper.
Yes, another Vulcan salute. Woot! And thank you, Michael, as well.
Next guest is going to be Geoff Notkin, whose last name probably, like all the other last names, I've been gradually mispronouncing throughout the entire hangout.
So I've just messaged him to send him along from the green room. Really excited to meet one of the Meteorite Men.
We're over $15,000.
Oh,
we have surpassed the Feed a Joe level.
Woo!
So thank you so much. We're at $15,264. Thank you to all of you who have donated thus far. You're giving. Thank you.
You're making these awesome projects happen, and then you can help us do the science, and then we can share all the results with you, and it'll be fun. Oh, I haven't gone slightly loopy. The other Ryan Consul sent us more cards. I'm going to forward along to you.
I'm Apollo, and I approve this science.
Oh my god! You came in at just the right time.
Did I hear science ladies laughing, so I must be in the right place.
Yeah, that would be us.
Welcome, Geoff. I know that you have a busy schedule,
ladies.
And you just came to us directly from being on Astronomy FM. And I hear that you have some interesting things that you bring us, as well as your content and your meteorites.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so. I hope they're interesting. They're interesting to me. So let me first say that what you are doing is a great thing, and I'm honored to be a small part of it. And while I was doing Under British Skies on Astronomy FM, I was explaining to some of our listeners in Europe the problems that we've had with the sequester here, and that some people might say they're a bit fed up with Congress. I'm just saying some people might. But instead of complaining about it, you are doing something positive, and that is wonderful because it's very easy to sit at home and complain, and it's hard to do something positive. So I thank you on behalf of all the viewers and listeners for making such a Herculean effort to do what you believe in. It's admirable and it's noble. So here's the deal. I intend to raise $1,000 during this 45-minute segment.
Ooh.
And to do that, I'm going to give away gifts to people who pledge $100 or more. And the first thing you get is my newest book, which is my autobiography. It's called Rockstar Adventures of a Meteorite Man. Took me 14 years to write this, and oh, I should have made a note of it. I got a wonderful review from Astronomy Magazine from Dave Eicher. He said something like, this book is a must-have for anyone interested in astronomy, meteorites, rock and roll, and everything else that's fun in life. So thank you for that, Dave Eicher. He's a wonderful guy. So I will send you a copy of this book, signed and personalized, to you or a person of your choice. But that's not all. These are stone meteorites. It's called Yelland Dry Lake Bed. And we found these on camera while filming Meteorite Man. Season 1, Episode 7. You cannot buy these anywhere. They've never been offered for sale. The only way you can get one is if it's a gift from me. And it comes with an ID card. It's all very fancy. And I got these signed photos signed by Steve and me. So anyone who donates $100 or more during this 45-minute segment will get all of the aforementioned goodies.
Wow.
And we will be able to tell who you are based on the timestamp of the PayPal donation. We're going to get all that information from my university next week, so we will know next week. I apologize that we don't know right now, but I don't have the login for my university's PayPal. I just get to see the output.
That's completely fine. That'll be post Hangoutathon work. But I'd like to say, anyone who does make this one of these donations, if you want a book personalized or a photo personalized or any special requests, just put that in the message with PayPal, because we're super appreciative of the support. And if you want a special message or some special thing, we'd love to do it. And there's more. Our friends at Astronomy FM have very generously agreed to match the first $500.
Wow.
So that means if 10 of you listening somewhere are willing to pony up $100 each in exchange for these gifts, but mostly for supporting this important project, not only will you get these goodies sent to you, but the Friends of Astronomy FM are going to kick in an extra $500. And, you know, I was originally thinking that we'd only do this for US viewers, because it now costs $25 to send a book overseas.
Yeah.
And I love the US Postal Service. They can do no wrong in my eyes. We ship thousands of packages a year, but it does hurt a bit that the international rates have gotten so high. So if you're overseas and you want to do this, I better see more than $100, because I'm going to be paying $25 for each book that I'm mailing to you. So that's my pitch. How did I do?
That's amazing.
We're completely bowled over, and Nicole's sitting here madly
tweeting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pause and retweet what she just did.
We want to make sure that people know that this is going on right now. So tweet and retweet if you're watching this.
and this is especially this is a great way to bring in more audience to this thing. So if you've already given and you want this as a gift, this is where you find your SO who doesn't love astronomy and say, hey, you want to do this thing for me.
Yeah, that's super. And all our Space Tweet friends, you're fanatics with Twitter. Well, no, that's the wrong word. You're highly skilled Twitter experts, and we love you. So get the word out. Really, I've very rarely made an offer like this, because these meteorites are very precious to me that were found on the show, and I've never sold one of them, and I never will. So the only way that you can get one is by winning one in a contest or a donation, or doing something positive like supporting CosmoQuest. So that's my little way of saying thank you to people who are tuning in to listen, and for your support. And hey, if you can't do the $100, do $10, do $50, do whatever you can. It's the price of a nice dinner out with your significant other. Skip dinner this month and send in something that will help guarantee the future of science education in our country.
Awesome.
So that's the end of my speech, although I may make the speech again later. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hey, didn't I make a promise yesterday when we were tweeting about what I was going to do, what I was going to bring?
Yes.
For my segment? Okay.
Yes.
So for viewers who don't know this, I freely admit to being a huge science fiction nerd. I've loved science fiction my whole life, and those of you who know me as the host of Meteorite Man or as a science writer may not know one of my great passions in life is collecting science fiction props. So what do you think these are?
Oh.
From a movie, science fiction movie. I'll give you a clue.
Let's see.
Oh God, I'm feeling so depressed. Any clues? Any takers?
Go. You know you want to say it.
You're Marvin.
Yeah, correct film. But these are not Marvin's. They're from someone else in the film.
But that's the line.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
well, they're Vogons. They're Vogon gloves from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Please don't tell us poetry.
Oh, fretful grunt bugling, thy micturations are to me. I could do the whole thing, but I don't want to bore your listeners. All right, so that was one. Here's a small one, but I love this. This is one of the command walkie-talkies from Stargate Universe, one of my favorite shows of all time. I absolutely love Stargate Universe. Such a great show.
That's fantastic.
Alas, it was it was sent the way of Firefly and so many other good shows before it had its run.
We at least got 2 seasons out of that one.
I know, yeah, but I
no
know,
closure.
but no closure. And I really think that was one of the great shows, one of my favorites. Yeah. Do you want more? Do you want to see more?
Yes, please. Hang on, I'm also trying to invite Michael in as well. So all the links open. But go ahead.
This is really one of my favorites.
That looks Klingon.
Very
Wait,
close.
No, that's from Stargate. That's from Stargate.
No, it's from Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah, it's from Deep Space Nine. Yeah, not Klingon, but close.